Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and good morning. My name is Elise Vennik, and I welcome you today on Tallinna Vesi's webinar. The webinar will be hosted by the Chairman of the Board, Karl-Heino Brooks, and Chief Financial Officer, Riina Käi. Firstly, Karl-Heino Brooks and Riina Käi will introduce Tallinna Vesi's financial and operational results for the first quarter of 2018, and right after the presentation, we will open the floor for questions. Please use the question box on the right side of the screen to send your questions in. All questions will be answered straight after the presentations. Now I will give it over to Karl and Riina, please.
Thank you, Elise. Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for joining the Q1 2018 webinar today. As usual, I'm going to start with a brief update on our operational performance during the first quarter of 2018. In summary, the operational performance of the company has been excellent. In the first quarter, the tap water quality remained very high, and we had 99.87% compliance amongst the 743 samples that were taken from the network and across customers' premises. So actually, we only had one sample that failed, and that was due to a high level of iron in the sample. Water losses in the distribution network were slightly higher than in the first quarter of 2017, and this was 15.19% against the previous figure of 13.19%. This slight increase in leakage level is accountable to the longer winter period that we've had this year, whereby finding leaks in the network becomes a little bit harder because we've got a blanket of snow covering up where we expect that, which doesn't help us to find the leakage. Final treated effluent leaving our treatment plant was also fully compliant with our water permit parameters, resulting in no increased pollution tax charges. We're working hard to provide high quality service to our customers, and in the first quarter the customers rated our service with 4.3 in a scale of 5, which is very high. So moving to an update on the tariff dispute. Sadly, on the 12th of December 2017, the Supreme Court rejected the company's cassation in relation to the ongoing tariff dispute, which means the company is now bound by the Competition Authority. At the end of February, the company submitted its tariff application to the Competition Authority, and as a result of that submission, a request for further information has come from the Competition Authority, and we now have until the 2nd of May 2018 to make that extra submission of information. Following submission, a period of further discussions will no doubt take place, and we expect to end up at an agreed tariff sometime in Q3 or Q4 2018. As of today, we're unable to give an indication as to the overall effect on the company profits going forwards, as it will be dependent on the final outcome of the tariff application process. So, in parallel to the local court case, the international arbitration proceedings are going on also, and if you recall, they were held by the International Centre for Settlement of Investment Disputes, or ICSID. After years of trying to negotiate a solution, the Supervisory Council of Tallinna Vesi decided to commence international arbitration proceedings against the Republic of Estonia for breach of the bilateral investment treaty between the Netherlands and the Republic of Estonia. The hearings were held in Paris in November 2016. These hearings are broadcast on the ICSID website amongst all relevant details of the case. The broadcast of the hearings can still be accessed via our webpage on the investors section. Both parties submitted their post-hearing briefs in February of 2017, and we're still expecting a decision or some indication from the arbitration panel in the first half of 2018. This process remains ongoing, and of course we'll update our investors as and when we have any significant developments. I'm now going to hand you over to Riina, who will take you through the financial results in detail for the first quarter.
Thank you, Karl, and good morning to everyone. Now I would like to give you the overview of the financial performance of Aktisays Tallinna Vesi in the first quarter in 2018. As financial highlights, I will give more detailed overview about sales and costs. The performance of the group continues to be good. Total sales revenues were 2.1% or 0.3 million euros higher than in the first quarter in 2017. The sales of water and wastewater services to domestic and commercial customers in the main service area increased by 1.4% or 0.16 million euros. There was a solid increase also from pipe construction revenues of 59.7% or 0.12 million euros. That was mostly related to finishing the projects that had been started already at the end of 2017, as in general the first quarter is quite quiet in the pipe construction. The gross profit for the first quarter in 2018 was also higher by 1.4% or 0.11 million euros compared to the same period in 2017. The gross profit was impacted by higher revenues, but also by higher chemical costs, mostly due to the higher usage and price of methanol. In the first quarter in 2018, the operating profit was 0.31 million euros higher than in the same period in 2017. In addition to bigger gross profit, the operating profit was affected by higher staff costs, which was accompanied by lower tariff dispute-related costs. Compared to the first quarter in 2017, the net profit of the company was 0.17 million euros higher, being in addition affected by the change of fair value of the swap contracts. Now let's move on to the next slides, and I will comment on the changes in revenues and expenses a bit closer. Let's start from the sales. Total sales revenues for the first quarter of 2018 increased by 2.1% or 0.3 million euros, as mentioned before. Total revenues from water and wastewater services were by 1.1% or 0.14 million euros higher than in the first quarter of 2017, amounting to 12.9 million euros. As we still operate with frozen tariffs, the change in water and wastewater revenues was solely driven by the consumption. As a result of the negative decision from the Supreme Court in December 2017, the company's tariffs will be regulated based on competition authorities' methodology. As per agreement, the company submitted its tariff application at the end of February 2018. The competition authority reviewed it and asked the company to amend it to bring it fully compliant with their regulation. The amended application will be submitted by the 2nd of May 2018. The new tariff will be applied after the competition authority has reviewed and approved the tariff application. The domestic consumption from Tallinn and Saue area increased compared to the same period in 2017 by 1.2% or 91,000 cubic meters to 7.4 million cubic meters. There was also a small increase of 1.7% or 44,000 cubic meters in commercial sector consumption, which amounted to 2.6 million cubic meters. The increase in domestic sector came mainly from apartment blocks, which is our biggest customer group. The consumption in apartment blocks increased by 1.4%. In commercial sector, the growth came mainly from industrial sector. Total volumes from outside service area remained relatively stable, decreasing by 0.9% to 1.39 million cubic meters compared to the comparative period in 2017. Stormwater volumes from the main service area were higher by 14.5%. The revenues from construction and asphalting services were 59.7% or 0.12 million euros higher than in the first quarter in 2017. Construction activities are mostly picking up starting from the second quarter. Bigger revenues in the first quarter were mostly related to finishing the projects that has been started in the end of 2017. This now takes us to costs. The total cost of goods sold in the first quarter of 2018 were higher by 3.3% or 0.18 million euros, amounting to 5.8 million euros. Direct main production costs have remained relatively stable, decreasing by 0.7% or 13,000 euros. Higher chemical costs were balanced by lower electricity expenses. Chemical costs were higher by 30.6% or 102,000 euros, mainly due to the higher usage of methanol and coagulant in wastewater treatment process, but also due to higher methanol price. Chemical costs were also affected by higher usage of coagulant in water treatment process due to the not so good raw quality coming in. Electricity costs were lower by 11.1% or 95,000 euros, being mostly driven by an average 13.7% lower electricity prices. Lower prices were slightly compensated by higher usage due to the higher volumes treated. Pollution tax expense decreased by 5% or 15,000 euros, mainly due to lower pollution load of pollutants. Construction and asphalting services cost increases related to higher construction and asphalting services revenue mentioned earlier. Increase in staff costs by 12.1% to 1.56 million euros was related to correction in salaries by consumer price index, which was also accompanied by higher redundancy costs. Decrease in administrative costs is mostly affected by lower dispute-related legal costs. Legal costs still will continue to affect the administrative costs up to the end of international dispute, the amount of which is dependent on work that needs to be put into the dispute. Other expenses have remained relatively stable, being affected by reversal of doubtful receivable reserve. Net financial expenses have mostly been affected by the non-monetary valuation of the fair value of the swap contracts. It takes us now to the cash flows. The cash position as of 31st of March 2018 is strong. The company's cash balance stood at 52.3 million euros, forming 22.3% of the total assets. Compared to the end of the first quarter in 2017, the cash balance has increased by 13.8 million euros. The biggest contribution to the cash flows comes from the main operations. The company's collection of receivables continues to be high, being 99.8% on average. In 3 months of 2018, net cash flows from investing activities resulted a cash outflow of 1.05 million euros compared to the cash outflow of 2.27 million euros in the comparative period in 2017. The investments into fixed assets were lower by 1.5 million euros and the compensation for pipes were lower by 0.3 million euros. Biggest investments in 2017 were related to 20 water pipe. Investment activities are getting more active starting from the second quarter. Financing cash flows was at the same level with the first quarter in 2017, showing net outflow of 0.4 million euros. In April, the Supervisory Board of Aktsiaselts Tallinna Vesi reviewed the dividend proposal to be presented to the annual general meeting of shareholders at the end of May 2018. The Supervisory Board decided to propose the annual general meeting a dividend payout of 36% per A share, which equals earnings per share in 2017, and 600 euros per B share for the financial year of 2017. The company's net profit for 2017 amounted 7.2 million euros. Similar to years prior 2017, the dividend payment is close to the net profit. The annual general meeting of shareholders will be gathering on 31st of May 2018, and the dividend payment will be made on 26th of June 2018. That concludes the overview of financial performance for the first quarter in 2018. Thank you for your time and attention, and all your questions are really welcome now.
Thank you both for the presentation. Now we will proceed with the questions in order that they are received. Please use the question box on the right-hand side of the screen to type in your questions, and we will be answering them shortly. Now, please, I will give you a few minutes to submit your questions. Thank you. It seems that we don't have any questions at this point, so with that we will conclude the webinar of Q1 2018. The recording of the presentation will be available in the Nasdaq Baltic YouTube channel, the webinar playlist very shortly, and the presentation materials and reports can be found on Tallinna Vesi's webpage.
Sorry, Elise. Sorry, we just write one question. I will read it for you. What is your prognosis regarding the profits of TV? Will it stay approximately the same as now?
Currently, it's slightly too early stage to forecast that. As it was mentioned in one of our TSCs as well, the tariff that we submitted to the competition authority are quite similar to the tariffs that are charged right now. The outcome of the tariff application process and approved tariffs is dependent on the full process, and the profits are dependent on the new tariffs that will be approved.
Thank you, Irina. Do we have any other questions at the moment? Okay, we'll wait for another second to see if maybe there's a follow-up, and please type your questions now if you have anything else to ask. Okay, it seems like we do not have any other questions at this time. So thank you, everybody, once again. Have a good day. Thank you to Karl-Heiner Brooks and Riina Käi for the presentations, and have a good day.
Thank you, and have a good day.
Thank you.